Welcome back, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn about light value and midtones, and I'm excited to show you a few cool shading tricks that I think you might enjoy using in your drawings. So first, before we get to the actual drawing, I'm going to show you a couple of shading tricks and tips here. We're going to get, I'm going to put a cylinder on my paper here, kind of like a soup can or a Pringles can or a tuna can or whatever, something like that. And I have a couple of those in my still life, and one of them already has a pretty dark shadow over here. So I'm just going to add a shadow over here because we're going to pretend that the light is not hitting this side. So I've got a pretty good shadow over here on this side, and I'll blend that in a minute with my Q-tip. And then underneath I already have a dark shadow. So this is kind of where I'm starting with my cylinder in my other drawing. What I wanted to show you though right now is that when you shade things that are rounded, it helps for you to move your pencil or use your shading in a round kind of fashion. So like this shadow here on the bottom, as we add some light and midtones to the main area here, it will be helpful if we can use our pencil in kind of a curved motion. There's a couple things I'd like you to notice about this cylinder. One of the things I'd like you to notice is that how it's almost white, or it is white in the center there, or where the light is hitting it. That's going to help to make your cylinders look round if there's an area that's really very, very bright. The other thing I wanted you to notice is those lines that I used from the sides were all curved to try to match the bottom and the top curve of that cylinder. So whether I was using my pencil or whether I was blending with the Q-tip, I was trying to use curved marks or curved lines there to try to help show the curve of that cylinder. I didn't do the details on the top yet. I'll do that in my my final still life drawing, but I wanted to show you one other trick here before I get to the shading on our regular still life drawing. I'm going to do just like a rectangular prism here. We'll just do something pretty basic. I'm not sure what this would be a box of, but we'll just get a regular kind of rectangular prism on here. Now, in your still life, you may not exactly see an area that's light and medium and then bright white, but I would encourage you anyway in your shading to do that with your rectangular prisms. So my light is coming from the top in this room where I'm sitting with my still life. So I'm going to leave the top of this white, and then the fronts of most of my rectangular prisms are a lighter value than the sides. So this is going to be white, and this is going to be light, and this is going to be more of a mid-tone. Okay, here's the next kind of tip or trick I wanted to show you. You can take a scratch piece of paper and color on it with a pencil. You can see I did that already because I was trying it out here to see if it would work for you. Color on it with a pencil, and of course you can, if you want to, get some of that pencil on a Q-tip and use your Q-tip, or you can get a Kleenex, wrap it around your finger and get a little bit, don't press too hard, get just a little bit of that value on your Kleenex, and you can do some shading with your Kleenex. Now the thing that's nice about that is if you get some pencil on your Kleenex, you can cover a lot of area pretty quickly. Hopefully you can see that that's kind of a light area filling in there. The tricky part about working with a Kleenex like that though is that you can't exactly control where your edges are. So there's kind of a neat trick for that too. I have a blue piece of paper here just so you can see it better, but your paper would not have to be blue. if I line my paper up with the top of my rectangular prism, can you see I have that lined up with the top of my rectangular prism there? And I get a little bit of that value on my Kleenex, I can go right up to the edge of that blue paper and it'll get that light value up to the top of my rectangular prism without smearing it all over the very top, which I want to stay white. Now you can, of course, just erase whatever gets on the top, but this is kind of a nice trick. If I do that on all of the sides here, I can get this light value on the front of my rectangular prism pretty quickly without making a lot of extra mess that I need to erase later. Let's see if I can get that last side done here. See how that works? It's pretty slick. So when I do the shading on my actual still life drawing, when I do the shading for the lights and the midtones on here, you're going to see me using this blue piece of paper to help keep my edges clean when I'm putting some of those light and medium tones onto my still life. Just one last reminder, there are going to be spots on your still life drawing that you should leave plain white, very, very bright. So watch for that in mind as we do the example, and then see which areas you should leave white in yours as well. There it is, boys and girls. We've got some light tones and some mid tones on some of our objects. There's some light tones like here, here, on the edges of the cans. We've got some mid tones in several areas, some kind of medium tones. We have some dark tones, especially in some of those areas where there's real deep shadows. We have some cast shadows, and then you might have noticed that I was doing a little bit of highlighting with my eraser. If there are areas like these little edges on the tuna can that get blended a little bit when you're doing your shadow work, feel free to take an eraser back along those edges and lighten those details up. That really is a nice touch for things like the top of the soup can or the top of the tuna can, and of course for anything that gets a little bit too dark as you're doing your other shading work. We also have some areas that are still white, bright paper color as well, just to make sure that we're not turning everything some shade of gray. I hope that was helpful to you, boys and girls, and I am super excited to see your work. Thank you.